It's safe to say there will never be another artist like Prince, not just because of his musical genius, but also because he served the best shade on a silver
menu.
The first Diddy party I went to was at Prince's house. So you want to go to Prince's house to the Diddy party where Tyrese is performing and Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher are swinging on swings. That is what's happening on the other side of the wall. And so the one thing that makes this party different than...
You lose your damn man card.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it, a man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
No, I'm saying
all of this out, but then it gets, that's the sharp part of the sword, and we're at the wrong end of it. It's not like we're against them or anything like that. The idea is that we find better ways of working with one another. It shouldn't be a situation where they own the album or the work. We're talking about intellectual copyright. If they're going to be indeed a delivery service, then that's fine. But even FedEx doesn't say that they own.
And it would always be like Glade, or there was another brand that she mentioned because he wanted it to smell a certain way. And then she
Glade.
says, then she says that they would get extra linens. And we've heard this story, but she said that because we heard before that there were extra linens because
of Dookie on the sheets.
So what she said was she was actually made to have freak offs during her period, and so there would be blood on a lot of the sheets. And she said she didn't want to do that, but she was being made to do that allegedly. And she also alleged that there'd be urine on the sheets, and we've heard testimony about the urine and why those things happened allegedly. And baby oil, she said that they would oil up so much. That was like a big thing for Puff allegedly. Like you had to be oiled. That every 5 minutes they were like just re-oiling because.
He wants you to look like a shiny suit.
Yeah, because it glistens, and I guess it's the sexiness of.
Menu.
The first Diddy party I went to was at Prince's house. So you want to go to Prince's house to the Diddy party where Tyrese is performing and Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher are swinging on swings. That is what's happening on the other side of the wall. And so the one thing that makes this party different than a Jamie Foxx party or any other celebrity party that wrangles a bunch of young women or guys or whatever too, is that Diddy didn't let you bring your security in the party.
Should glisten like them shiny suits he used to wear in the 90s.
This is so sad. I guess so. And then when we talking about the urine, she talked about that in one of the free calls because they'd asked her, we opened up our testimony or our opening statement to prosecutors talking about, you alleging that there was a male escort that was made to pee, or I'm sorry, that was made to urinate on you.
You can say pee. Same thing.
Urinate on you. Can you detail that? So she starts to detail that, and she says that at one point she was choking, obvious reasons. And they asked, well, why didn't you just ask them to stop? And when I say them, she updated us and let us know.
Who's the attorney, Riley Freeman? He says, why wouldn't you just move out the way? That's what he asked her for.
Basically, they just asked, like, at this, because it didn't sound like she was being held against her will at that point, like physically. So they're like, well, why would you just...
Diddy's ex, Cassie Ventura, who is 9 months pregnant, was on the stand for the second day in a row. The jury was shown photos of past injuries. She also testified the freak-offs left her with sores, frequent UTIs, and stomach problems.
She even talked about, what would I tell my mom if something like this got out? There was a text message shared from 2017 where she said nothing good comes out of freak-offs. And then she says, you treat me like you're Ike Turner. And that was a nod to the abuse that she says she suffered.
I survived what I've been through.
For the third day in a row, jurors watched hotel surveillance of Diddy abusing Cassie. The full, unedited 15-minute version was entered as evidence and shows moments we hadn't seen before. Cassie, barefoot in a dark hoodie, waiting for the elevator and using the hotel phone. And this security director, responding to the attack, took these pictures of the aftermath. Broken vases. And this awkward moment with Diddy and Cassie from the 2018 Met Gala is going viral.
Is there anything that you may want to confess tonight before you go in?
I keep everything right here.
There you go.
Or right here.
There you go.
Something else happened today in court that was worth noting. There were messages where she seemingly wants to have a freak-off. Says things like, LOL, I can't wait. The prosecution asked her, why would you say that if you didn't really want to do it? And she explained that she said those things because she was fearful of Combs and because she wanted to keep the relationship.
Up a lot of times when that happening because she didn't like it and it was a lot going on, and she said that not only would the escorts do it, allegedly Puff would join in as well, and she said when they would get to a point where
Well-known partygoers wore white, and it wasn't exactly a family-friendly event. Now imagine you're a 6-year-old kid and you find yourself a guest there. Allison Hall has more.
Can you believe this 6-year-old boy was once a guest at Diddy's infamous white party? The disgraced mogul has his arm draped around a young Justin Livtowski back in 1999. Justin is now 31 and tells Inside Edition about taking that photo.
He put his arm around me in an uncomfortable way, close to areas that you shouldn't as a...
He recalls what he saw at the party.
So I remember marijuana and topless women. That's the two main things that I remember.
So, how'd he end up there? Well, his father, David Allen, was Diddy's photographer, snapping pictures of partygoers in the Hamptons. Justin's mom, Maya, was also there. She says the party was family-friendly at first, but then turned raunchy.
People were getting high. There were girls swimming topless, young-looking girls that were, not dressed. We moved to another part of the house so that he wouldn't be exposed to what was going on.
Allegedly, Puff would want to hear that. She said
he would be blindfolded, right?
No, not all the time, because once they got more comfortable with the escorts, from what it seems like she's describing, the blindfolds would come off and all that stuff.
You got mad notes, Lauren. I need to see those.
Yeah, and they're highlighted. I had to organize them better because I felt like yesterday I had a lot of information that I didn't get, so I organized them better. Highlights. I made notes in the back of important points to get to in here. You can read these notes.
Lauren is in the courtroom. She's in the actual courtroom.
That was a new notebook. At the
yeah, no, I bought
done.
a second one yesterday.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So that first step was the descriptive foreplay, and then step 2 is the touching. Now, step 2, she alleges, is that's when all the baby oil comes out. Step 3 is oral, and she says that a lot of times she would rush to get to the oral because she just wanted to get it over with, because she kept making a point of she didn't want to do this. She just was doing it because
became such a big deal back then is ever since my third album, I wasn't really taking large advances from the recording companies. I was recording the albums myself in my own studio. So the way I looked at it, I owned the work because I paid for it. And I did all the work. I created it, so I felt like it should belong to me. That said, the companies felt otherwise. And they would always hold this contract up and say, well, you signed it. And I say, well, I understand that. It's not like I want to leave. I just want to, talk about this thing and see if we can't make it more fair. Of course, they wouldn't change, because if they changed, they wouldn't really exist. And that's kind of the situation we're in right today. They're not going to exist.
Diddy implemented a curfew for children.
The kids have like an hour left. So get extra comfortable, because this thing turns into something that when y'all get older, y'all don't want to come to.
I think he's a monster.
This week, Houston-based lawyer Tony Busby says more than 120 people are coming forward with claims Diddy sexually abused them.
Our youngest victim at the time of the occurrence was 9 years old. We have an individual who was 14 years old. We have one who was 15.
Did Diddy assault you in any way?
When you say assault, I don't know the exact definition, but he put his arm around me in an uncomfortable way.
Diddy is now behind bars, facing federal charges of sex trafficking and racketeering. He denies all claims of sexual abuse, including against.
But when you lose your man card, That's the only thing I can think of. You lose your damn man card.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it, a man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
No, I'm saying what I'm saying. You don't get that back. You come into this world as a man one time. You give up that right for anything, for fear of being hurt, fear of somebody doing something, for wanting to gain something. When you give up that man card right, you lose some spiritual energy that has always been pushing through. Like if a woman gives up her womanly right of being a mother and taking care of her family and do all those things, when you give up those things, but when hood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Get punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there because they get fluid. And next thing you know, once you go fluid, it's gone. You don't have any foundation to pull yourself back from. So maintain your man card, no matter what.
Man, I mean, you know, one of the things you're seeing, you went to a whole different place.
Sorry.
No, I get it. So you see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
I know you haven't always loved the internet. How are you seeing progress right now with all of that? Can you use it to your advantage?
It's a double-edged sword. You know, a lot of artists aren't getting paid full scale for their art, and the internet, because of downloading and things like that, is kind of like a black hole, and it's hard to audit, it's hard to get accounting, and it's not that it's just about the money, but it's about justice and fairness. And when people say that they love you and they respect you, but at the same time take, you know, 80% of your earnings, then expect you to fix your own communities, and they'll probably edit all of this out, but then it gets, that's the sharp part of the sword, and we're at the wrong end of it right now. So eventually, with courageous people going out there and actually saying something and standing up for it, I think we'll get some balance.